Ship's prop immediately ripped apart and blew itself to pieces. It shredded through the engine and it killed the person who was checking by the propeller shaft. The other person in the engine room was very much injured. Ship slightly sunk, started sinking. The person in the midship was thrown off and would later climb back aboard the go and grab onto the railing of the bow and climb upon it, and himself over it. The three on the bridge were violent. The person wearing something was thrown backwards and his chest, slamming his skull against the back of it and breaking his skull open. Two people sleeping. The person who was sleeping in here was thrown off his bunk and crashed down. The other person who was sleeping slammed his skull and knocked himself out. Slammed his skull into something and knocked himself out and pretty much immediately. The person looking out into space was thrown off and would go to the stern. They would barely be able to make it to there and would actually get onto the ship alive. I will tell you what happened to them later on. Anyways, some people in here were both thrown over by the snapping. One person went over the table and slammed into the other opposite chairs, hoping to knock him over. The other one was slammed over and crashed his skull against the counter, causing him to stop bleeding heavily and dying. And as he got over to the front of the ship, it came about. The three people on the bridge. One of them was thrown up and slammed down over to here. The other two was still in the bridge. One person slammed into the wheel as he threw the ship hard over. The other person here was thrown over and crashed into the side of this thing. I'll hit the skull boat thing later. The ship, the 10 people on the ship started running down there to the bow. People sleep. The person who was knocked out would be seen sleeping and would be shooken awake. It took him a while to get up, but the ship started sinking fast. He was most certainly drowned in the shipwreck. The thing he was never seen again. Both of the lads in here both got up. The guy who was writing a story, grabbing his book thing. He then ran out of here. Trying to find his letter. Remembering. It wasn't a ladder. Most part of the ship was starting to go under, and the cowlick was starting to get wetted on. They then pulled themselves up onto here, and ran up here. Up on the bow. Up to the bow. They got the man who fell over here up and help, and now there was 3 people right on the bow area. The guy over here who blew himself up ran up here and just grabbed and swung his way up here before pulling himself between the bars and grabbing this railing thing. Ship was starting to list a bit, and as he pulled himself up, and hung off the edge of this specific area. Pilot of the ship immediately went out of his post, not to run to the bow. The other person was looking behind, seeing how fast the ship was flying to be ready to run. Tet yelled to him, "Look, get out of here!" This other guy who was knocked, bleeding heavily from his head, And the other guy who was down to the ship angled more and more. He and the other guy pulled their way up on the bridge. And the other guy, as he was coming up, the second guy up, other than the guy already up to here, the guy then suddenly went and fell backwards, dead, crashing into the ground and slamming his head out. Almost head bad down. Right. They pulled him forward. They took him forward, fighting young. As the ship started angling more and more, he goes, "I get out there!" Yes, come on, man. But then plunged under the water. The guy who was here immediately got the boat off. This ship would get everyone on, or save them. As it plunged under, as a scream being. So from here, as a guy pulled himself up, very badly injured guys. Yeah. You. Oh yeah. Got up here and the three people sleeping. All going up. You go here. They both got out. Once to get out of there.